What's the good word, y'all? DKB here. So I've been thinking about the offseason a lot, some of the moves we potentially want to make, what the future holds for this franchise, and I'm holding on to a sliver of hope. I really do love this front office staff that Joe Douglas has put together. I love the coaching staff. Robert Saleh has hands down kind of won me over as my favorite coach. That includes Rex Ryan. I just wasn't a fan, personality wise. He was doing a lot for me. But when it comes to the quarterback position, I think there have been comments that have been made by Mark Sanchez along the way that it made a lot of sense, and it was almost a little bit of like foreboding or foreshadowing in terms of what was going to happen with a lot of the stuff that Mark Sanchez mentioned. And he was talking to Rich Eisen recently where he was speaking about Zach Wilson again and kind of his thoughts on the situation and where things have turned out. And he mentioned, unfortunately, the market. I know the market. There's no time. There's no time to let the relationship marinate or let it incubate. It's we want the microwave answer right now. I want to hit one button, express 30 seconds, and let's roll. And to be honest, it's very similar sentiments that Robert Saleh echoed, and this isn't just with Zach Wilson. He shared the same thing with a number of players in regards to not just New York, but as a whole with football. You want somebody to come out of the gates from day one and look like a superstar, and that's not the case. Everybody has their own different developmental paths, things like that. And so while I've been thinking about the offseason and what the future holds, I'm holding on to hope that we can still try to turn Zach Wilson around. And I think I'm starting to kind of teeter-totter to the wayside because the situation as it currently stands looks like this, at least in my opinion. Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas appear like they're going to be playing for their jobs during the 2023 season, which means for as much speak as there has been about Zach Wilson still being in the plans and wanting to develop him and all of these different things, we know we're bringing in some kind of established veteran quarterback that the offensive coordinator is going to be 100% on board with. And so this really leaves essentially Zach Wilson as the odd man out. I still think it's a huge opportunity for him to really hone and work on his craft in the background without having to worry about a whole lot other than, of course, the media harping on him about how he feels not being the starter or whatever ends up ultimately happening during practices. But I still think he could take advantage of this. If we dish out, let's say one of these standard 3-year contracts for whoever this next quarterback is going to be. He comes in, he performs for 2 years. That gives Zach Wilson technically would give him his 5th-year option to go in there and try to present a best case scenario, which doesn't do well, especially when you talk about the quarterback position. You don't want to leave. You don't want to head into a contract year essentially as a 1-year wonder, and it's always up in the air, right? If he does absolutely phenomenal, it's not going to matter. We've seen that with Quentin Williams. Everybody was calling him a bust in terms of where he was drafted at number 3. He comes out, he picks up, I want to say it was 12 sacks, does a number on every offensive line in the NFL. And now suddenly we're saying we need to toss him the $21+ million bag. So, everything's always about the recency bias of it. But I do think we are looking at potentially another guaranteed wasted pick here. I can't really sell myself anymore on the idea that Zach Wilson will get a chance to actually come in here. And he might be able to come in and compete this offseason, but how realistic is it that we expect him to turn around? Now, granted, I did put out a video saying his latest press conference that he did to end the season was by far the best one I've seen, and there was a number of reasons in there for things that I heard him say and the body language and stuff that I love, that gave me a lot of hope about what he can do. But I think the current situation and how things can evolve in the future, two separate timelines. The way we wanted things to work out and what ultimately happened kind of ended up screwing him. So I think now the best case scenario that we're looking at is he can disappear for a year. This 2023 season, hopefully we don't have to hear a whole lot from him outside of him being a backup quarterback. And we hope he rebuilds his value. 2024 season, maybe we can flip him, get, some kind of Sam Darnold trade on the books again. And realistically, I think what Archie Manning potentially has anywhere from like 3 to 4 years before he comes out. But maybe that's what we're looking at, right? Try to stockpile a couple of picks. We should have an extremely, extremely solid veteran esque roster at that point with guys like Garrett and Jermaine and Elijah Moore and all them, if they're still around, being established on the team. And we go out there and we try to reset with another rookie quarterback. This time we should have a lot stronger understanding of what's going on, assuming Robert Saleh's still there. He's learned from his offensive coordinator. All of these different kind of things. But I think that's officially where I'm at with it. Zach Wilson, as much as I want to see him succeed in this offense, even though he wasn't the guy, who we bring in is who I'm supporting. So I think he's going to the wayside, at least in terms of us. Maybe he blossoms into another Geno Smith situation, which will be another tragedy in what has been every 2 to 3 years, drafting a terrible quarterback or somebody that at least just couldn't, pan out in New York for us. It's unfortunate, but I mean, the thing about us as fans is if we find the success one way or another, it ultimately won't matter. And a lot of the fan bases in this, they're in this realm of we just can't develop quarterbacks and stuff. And that's just not where I'm at. I think every season has its own story. Every coaching staff has its own story. And so if Robert Saleh can continue to groom himself, learn from these offensive coordinators that he's picking, so that he can truly, truly oversee the team as a whole 100%, and provide his input in what he thinks does and doesn't work and all of these little things, I think we can make something happen down the road. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Mark Sanchez pretty much confirms it. Our quarterbacks don't get the time. Maybe we'll learn from that and we will finally sit a quarterback when we pick the next one, in order to let them, sit, really improve their talents over the course of a season, and then they can show out and, become a Patrick Mahomes or a Jalen Hurts or, some of these enigmas that are out there. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I'll catch you again. Peace.